Nobody knows we're fun. Booksmart is directed by Olivia Wilde and starring Beanie Feldstein, Kaitlyn, Jessica Williams, Jason Sudeikis, Lisa Kudrow, Forte, and Billie Lourd. Before I go any further, I just want to say there will not be any plot spoilers in this review. This is the directorial debut for actress Olivia Wilde, and this film is a coming-of-age story centered around the characters of Molly and Amy, portrayed by Beanie Feldstein and Kaitlyn, and they decide that on their last night officially as high school students, they're going to go out partying and doing things they've never done before because they spent their entire high school lives just studying and getting good grades and getting into their colleges of their choice. So they decided to go down a different path, and this film chronicles that night and all the things that they get into. This is one of my most anticipated films of the year because there was a lot of positive buzz about it coming out of all of the film festivals that were happening earlier on this year. Then a trailer came out which got me even more intrigued and more interested, and I've always been a fan of Olivia Wilde as an actress, so I wanted to see what her capabilities were as a director, and I have to say she did a fantastic job directing this movie. She really had a fantastic grasp on the material. She was able to deliver it to us in a really efficient and fantastic way. There were a few technical aspects of the film that I had a few problems with, but I'll get into those when I go into my negatives later. But sticking with the positives, this film has two fantastic leads in it. Beanie Feldstein and Kaitlyn have such fantastic natural chemistry as best friends, as young teenage girls going through things that young teenagers go through, and it feels very genuine. That is one of the major aspects I love about this movie, is that on the surface it is this over-the-top type comedy, but underneath, this film has a beautiful layer of themes that really keep it grounded in reality and keep it having that genuine flavor to it. The themes in this film are not only themes that are specific to young teenage girls, but there's also themes in this film that I think are specific to just teenagers in general, and the film really balances those two major crop of themes because there's a lot of crossover between them. I really like the supporting players and the supporting characters we had in this film because they really built out this world that Molly and Amy live in. They weren't quite as fleshed out or as having as much depth, I think, as the main characters did, because it is, of course, their character's journey, but I thought that they all played their roles really well. And while I think that this is one of the most funniest films that I've seen this year, some of the jokes don't quite land. Some of them kind of get drawn out a little bit too far. I think a lot of that has to do with a sense of improvisation with certain moments of the movie where the improvisation just goes on for too long and the joke kind of just, peters out or really wasn't a good joke to begin with. But for the vast majority of what I'm seeing on screen, I really laughed a lot during this film. The film has a great variety of comedy within it. It's not only through the dialogue, but it's also through certain moments or certain physical comedy moments that work really well. Some of the negatives that I have with the film is that this film does follow some of the usual subgenre tropes that we have seen in many other coming-of-age, teenage, angsty type films before, but I don't think that it hurts the film too much because, like I said before, there's such a genuine heartfeltness in this film that is tethered in reality. And another negative that I have is something I mentioned earlier, is that the film, from a technical standpoint, has a few things that bother me when it comes to certain editing and the way certain angles are, and I just thought that that's more nitpicky things that I'm noticing. You won't generally notice it from a general audience perspective, and it doesn't really hurt the film too much for me. So with all of that being said, I'm going to give this film a rather high score of 4 out of 5 stars. It is one of the most well-acted films I've seen this year. It has a lot of heart and fantastic themes. It's a wonderful coming-of-age story. It's a wonderful story, I think, that really represents teenage girls in a light that they don't really get to see a lot in these types of movies. And also, I really liked Olivia Wilde's directorial debut. It's not easy to direct a movie, especially comedy movies, where there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to what audiences find funny. This has been my review for Booksmart. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.